Hi and welcome to this anti-rotation routine. There are 4 specific exercises in this entire routine. It should take you about 20 minutes to do. And to be able to do this routine, you're going to need 2 towels because the series is based on a particular exercise called wall towels. For wall towels, you need a bath towel that's rolled up like a Swiss roll, and it's roughly, I'm gonna say like 4 inches in diameter. And the most important part of the rolling of this towel, you can use soft posture cushions if you've got them. I don't have any, I just use towels and I prefer the towels anyway. And what you've got to make sure is that the towels are softly rolled. If you have them too firm, it will kind of act as an obstacle rather than something that's a little bit more shock absorbing. So I've got one big bath towel that's rolled up, and I'm going to use that under my or behind my back when I stand up against the wall. And I've then got a slightly thinner towel that's maybe like a kid's sort of bath towel or a kid's swim towel, and I've rolled that up the same way. I'm also going to need a yoga block. I like to use a mat for the grip under my feet as well, and you're going to be doing this series right up against a wall. So what you are going to do from here is you're going to take both of your towels and come up into standing. Just going to turn my timer on so that we can time the exercises. And if you have long hair like I do, what you don't want is your hair tied up, because that's going to act as an obstruction for the back of your skull. And in this anti-rotation menu, what we're trying to do is basically pull a pelvis or hips that are in rotation. They could be rotated to the right side forwards, they could be rotated left side forwards. Causes symptoms like SI pain, really tight hips, maybe some sort of groin kind of like discomfort, sciatica. It could cause various sort of dysfunctions or compensations down your legs, plantar into your feet. And also what then happens is if your hips are constantly in rotation or your pelvis is in rotation, what will happen is it will travel up sort of to your torso, your trunk, and it could also then be the reason why you've got excessively rounded shoulders, rotated sort of spine, rounded disparity in your shoulders, maybe an elevation, anything like that. So with the towels placed behind your lower back and behind the neck, like we're going to do, first and foremost, the first part of the exercise is going to help us restore a natural S-curve in your spine. And then the following, the exercises that follow the isometric hold of the wall towels, what we're going to do with those is then bring the body back into function and out of rotation. So I'm just going to set up. You're not going to actually have your heels touching the wall. You're going to have your heels maybe 3 inches away from the wall, but not as far as you would have them in a position where you feel like you're leaning back and your hips are thrusted forwards. So you really want to get in a position where you feel stacked. Your feet are facing forwards and parallel. I call this square and parallel because a lot of people will start by standing with their feet everted. Maybe 2 feet are doing 2 separate things. So really look down at your feet, take inventory of what your feet are doing. Splay the toes, and the first towel that you're going to place is the one around or behind the nape of your neck. So you don't want the towel at the sort of base of the skull, because that's going to create a cervical flexion. You want the towel to be of the right thickness that it just kind of like closes that gap behind the nape of the neck. And then your second towel, if I can just get it there, is going to go right into the lower back. Now, for some people, what you will start to do is that you'll have the towel too low towards the tailbone sacrum, and you'll find that your hips jut forwards and that there's this massive gap of your shoulder blades away from the wall. That's not what we want, and that's not what we're looking for, because that's going to create a sway back position, and we're trying to get completely neutral in the stack of your shoulders, your hips, your knees, and your ankles. So you want the towel basically closing the gap of where your last rib cage would be and the start of your entire sort of sacral like pelvic bones, or those kind of PSIS bones we call them, which are the sort of two love heart shaped kind of bones in the back of your pelvis. And you're really trying to keep the towels in a position where they're just closing those two gaps. There should be no sort of thrusting of your hips forwards. Your feet should feel really nice and grounded. Splaying the toes, legs are nice and active, but you're getting a little bit of hip extension in this wall towel series. Hands are just going to stand by your side. And we're just going to stay here for about 5 minutes before we start the actual sort of exercise routine. So this is an isometric hold. You're going to relax your belly. Skull and your butt cheeks are touching the wall. The calves won't touch the wall just by virtue of them being slightly away from your wall. And I want you now just to start focusing on your breath. So we're going to start taking a big breath in through the nose. Belly's going to expand. And then let the breath out. And again, big breath in. And exhale out. Inhaling through the nose, inflating the belly. And exhaling as if you're blowing air into a balloon. Just keep with this breath rhythm. We've got just about 2.5 minutes to go. Long, big breaths. And just start to notice what happens in your legs. For me, for instance, I'm starting to feel my lower left calf really sort of activate and kick in. And I can also feel something releasing in that top left side of my chest, left collarbone, left pec area, and sort of my rib cage on this left side. I am a body type that lives in a lot of rotation because I have bunions. I've got a bunion on my left foot, which is worse than my right. And I've got an internally rotated femur, which is, or a femur on the right side that's a bit more internally rotated than my left. So that does cause my pelvis to come into some kind of a disparity a lot of the time. So for me, anti-rotation menus are great. And they really help me, especially during pregnancy, but also just generally because I'm a sportswoman, I play golf, I play paddle, really keeps my body in alignment and in check, and really takes away, I'm gonna say, a lot, if not every single problem that I could be facing as a result of a body that works differently on both sides. We've got 1 minute on the clock. Just checking in with your breath again. Big breath in. And big breath out. And again, big breath in. And big breath out. And the beauty about posture work and the beauty about posture exercises is that you could be doing stuff, you could be doing your routines in your living room, you could be doing it in front of the TV, with props that you get in and around the house. I've got these towels from my, towel cupboard. I like to use a mat just because it gives me a little bit more feedback into my feet. But really simple routines that are really simple to do from the comfort of your home. And that's one of the things that really I think is life-saving about posture routines and posture work is you don't need to be in the gym. You don't need to have a studio. You don't need to have like a fancy setup just to be able to get through your routine. Now, we're going to stay in wall towels. My left calf is on fire, so I'm just wriggling it out a little bit. Adjusting the towels if they are coming down or slipping away at all. And keeping your heels exactly where they are, feet grounded. Now what you're going to try and do is with your abdominals relaxed. Now this is really difficult for a lot of people. What you're going to try and do is just squeeze your butt cheeks. And when I say squeeze your butt cheeks, we're not thrusting the butt cheeks forwards. Think about the crease of both your butt cheeks. You're simply just trying to hold and then release. Imagine you've got a strawberry between your butt crack. It's a bit graphic, but that's kind of like what you want to feel. And you're really just trying to hold the strawberry there without like getting some juice out. And you're trying to use both your glutes consistently. If you are in rotation, sometimes you will feel one less than the other, and that's a really good sign of rotation. So just giving yourself feedback, you can put both your hands on your glutes, give them a little bit of a rub, and use that sort of sensory input from your palms just to stimulate and instigate some muscle reaction. We're going to do 3 sets of 10 glute squeezes. We're going to squeeze, bellies relaxed, no pelvic floor squeezing, no Kegels. We're simply isolating this movement from the glutes on using the sort of ground reaction force of the feet touching the ground and allowing that to have a chain reaction right up into the glutes. I'm going to count you down from 3. We'll count you up. 4, 5, 6, 7, gaze is eye level, 8, 9, 10, second set, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can really feel my left leg, 6, 7, and it's almost like as my left leg gets a little bit more tense or starts to feel it, my left shoulder doesn't want to release. I'm just checking in with this as I'm standing here doing the routine. So body awareness and just taking inventory of what's happening in your body throughout every sort of posture exercise, really, really important. 7, 8, remember no squeezing of your abdominals, 9, and 10. We've got 10 to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Perfect. Now from here, just a quick check-in with your feet. Make sure you're not grabbing the toes into your mat or your floor, whatever you're using. And for the third part of this wall towels anti-rotation series, we're going to have the arms out by your sides, palms facing forwards, back of the palms to the wall, fingers wide. And from here, what we're going to start doing is squeezing our scapula together. Scapula is another word for shoulder blades. And what you're really trying to do is not let your arm bones roll forwards here. You're going to keep the arms back into the wall and feel like your shoulder blades are coming down and in together as you squeeze the arms or the forearms and the wrists into the wall to feel like you're really kind of squeezing those shoulder blades together. So we're going to go for 3 sets of 10 here. Gaze is neutral, neck is really nice and relaxed and held by the towel. If you need to adjust your towel, go ahead. It does slip around sometimes, and that's very, very normal. Here we go. So arms in a 45 degrees. You will already start to feel like your pec muscles are getting a really nice sort of opening and a stretch. Okay, and again, relax your abdominals, legs are strong. Push the feet into the ground to feel like you've got some hip extension, but also a really good command of your feet down into the ground. And then from here, we're going to squeeze. You're pushing the shoulders in and down at the same time, but without letting your neck kind of duck or lose stability. And then you release and squeeze. 2, inhale to release, exhale to squeeze. And as you squeeze, you're not engaging your abdominals, you're not squeezing your Kegels. That is a separate conversation for another time. I think from what I've seen and tested over thousands of clients, overactive abdominals are such a big dysfunction, especially amongst people who are, you know, fit in the modern sense of the word, gymming and weightlifting and doing all of these other things. It takes away the functional aspect of how your pelvis and your shoulders communicate. That's what I'll say on that topic for now, as I come back to the counting of our scapular contractions here. 6, 7, and I'm noticing I'm compensating slightly on my legs. I'm trying to bend my knees as I squeeze my scapula. So I'm really trying to feel like my feet are pushing down into the ground and the back of my head stays on the wall. 8, and I'm definitely feeling my left arm more than my right. 9, and 10. Quick break, you can shake out your arms. And then come back into your setup. Here we go, second set, squeeze. 1, keep the tongue soft to the roof of the mouth, jaw soft, and your eyes soft. 3, 4, 5, 6. For anyone with wrist tendonitis, tennis elbow, also such a great exercise and such a great routine to get you started. 8, 9, and 10. And maybe just isometrically hold for 5 or 10 seconds at the end. Breathing, holding no tension in your abdominals. It's way harder than it looks. And then we'll come into our third and final set. Squeeze. Release. Squeeze. Release. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't push your head into the wall. Just keep your head really nice and relaxed. Almost there. 9. And 10. Good. Just gonna lean down and grab your block for the last and final exercise of this anti-rotation series. What you're going to do is you're going to place a block right between your knees. I like to have it lengthways because if I have it sort of this way around, I feel like it might kind of jar into the back of the wall. So I just put the block lengthways and that takes out the trouble or the fight between the block and the wall. And then fiddly, but you're going to come back into your setting. If you've got long hair, it can be even more faffy. But once you get into your setup, towel just goes back, right sort of to the back of the nape of the neck. Just check in with your feet, hip distance. Feet are equal, right and left. No grabbing of the toes into the floor. That's also a really big mega dysfunction that I see amongst many clients, and they don't realize that that is a sign that something up the chain between the tibia, the femur, the hips, and the pelvis isn't quite doing its job. Okay, now from here, we're just gonna have our hands relaxed. You should start to already feel like maybe something in the body's shifting, something feels different. I certainly feel like suddenly there's a big sort of outwardly rotation type feeling in my right hip. And that's kind of a really good sign because lately through this pregnancy, I'm getting sort of really soft and gentle symptoms of pubic symphysis, more on the right side and the left, and that indicates that there could be some pelvic rotation. I've got a sort of very gentle kind of niggle in the SI joint, and that's also on the right side, indicating a possible rotation of my pelvis. So this routine is helping me as much as it's going to help you, and I hope you take from it as much benefit. So we've got block between our knees, and this time all we're doing with the belly relaxed, arms just dangling by the sides of your legs, we're going to squeeze the block. So I find my feet maybe a little bit too far away from each other, bringing them in 1/2 inch, and I'm going to squeeze just with my knees. I'm not trying to sort of knock my knees back. My knees are staying completely extended, but not hyperextended. I squeeze and I release. I squeeze and I release. There will be a tiny squeeze of your butt cheeks, but not as much as you would if you were driving the exercise with the glutes. So you're squeezing the knees, belly's relaxed, and then you release. You squeeze the knees, you relax, you squeeze and relax. You squeeze, this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Trying to let each of your knees squeeze equally. I can definitely feel like my left one's a bit slower. Squeeze, second set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This exercise is a lot harder than it looks, for sure. And then we're going to go for the last set here just to wrap up. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze. That's 4, 5, head back, jaw relaxed, tongue relaxed. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good job. So we're just going to release the towels, set your block aside, and just walk around a little bit just to see how you're feeling, check in. And a really good way just to test what you're feeling would be to move around a little bit. And roll the shoulders out. And just finish with a very simple balance test, which means you come into standing, try not to look down at your feet, close your eyes. And just take inventory of where your balance is at. So if you take your attention down to your feet, it's good practice just to do this at the beginning of the class so you kind of feel the impact of the routine. But usually you'll feel like there's been a massive shift in your balance before and after. And right now I feel very grounded in both my feet. I'm feeling a lot taller and like I've got a lot of extension in my hips, and my shoulders definitely feel like they've been pulled back. There's a lot of ease in my neck and my chest and my throat. And that discomfort that I described just in the sort of pubic area and the SI seems to have subsided quite substantially. I'm going to say like 90%. So that is your anti-rotation wall towel series. Have a go, let me know how you get on. If you've got questions, you know where to find me. But this would be such a great routine to do if, for instance, you've been driving for a long time, you've been at your desk for a long periods of the day, you've got any kind of discomfort, pelvis, SI, sciatica, you've got groin trouble, generally you've got tight hips, or you've got anything going on in your sort of your feet, your lower legs, or you just want a massive release in like your shoulders and your neck, this could be such a great series for you to try. I hope you get the benefit that it was intended for you, and I will see you soon.